Alrighty, welcome back to the pod. Today we have a really exciting episode where I interview different friends each time talking about different subjects. So today I have my two richest friends, Max and Patrick, and we're going to talk about financial literacy and personal finance, and the episode's all about money. So guys, thanks so much for coming on to the pod. And without further ado, I guess I'll pass the mic to each of you. Maybe we can start with Max. So maybe give me a bit of an intro, your entrance point into the world of finance, why you're passionate about it, and maybe as a starting question, why should people care about financial literacy or financial well-being?
Sure, yeah. Got a bit of a mic situation here, but thanks for inviting me. Great to be on the podcast. Great to be in this beautiful studio to talk about money. I first got interested in money probably as early as I can remember.
When you made your first dollar?
Yeah. It was the red pockets that got me.
The Lacey.
No, I had a book about money as like a bedtime story, like the history of money or something. So I've just been interested in this medium of exchange for the longest time. And then I think what really got me was the stocks widget on Apple computers.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Okay.
You could press F12 and all the widgets would fly in. And the stocks widget was like one of the default widgets. I just liked the colors.
Is that the one with the red and green showing the stock market ticket?
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah. Pass it over to Patrick.
Yeah, thanks, Max. So hi, I'm Patrick. Great to be here.
Hello.
Where I'm situated in sort of money, I currently work in the loyalty space. I work for a fintech, and money to me is certainly very interesting. I have a lot of background in psychology, and behavioral economics is certainly something that's a big interest to me, and it's how people, instead of behaving rationally, that's the main assumption. I personally believe people behave very irrationally. And one major way in which we use money is, to me, I know I use it irrationally. So,
What's an example of an irrational action?
I guess, an irrational action is, let's say,
Hedging your retirement savings on red at the casino?
Yeah, exactly. Or you feel lost 2 times as much as a win. So people are typically more like risk averse, and people are way more, they'll go with something that will give them a way less return because it's maybe a little bit more uncertain. Whereas, they might have more to gain if they go through that. So I always find that interesting, but money's always been of interest to me. So
cool. Okay. I'll pass back to Max, I guess. Why is it important that people care about finance, and why is financial well-being a consideration when looking at a person's overall holistic health? Like, how important is money?
Yeah. I don't think it has to be that important unless it is that important to you. I think life is so much more than just, dollars and cents or...
Not for Patrick. I'm just kidding. Okay.
But the reality is we live in a capitalist society, and money matters because it defines a lot of what you can do and how you spend your time. And I think if you think of your life in terms of the currency of time, then money is a component of that, often directly related for a lot of jobs. People will think of how much money they make per hour as the key component of a job, which they might spend a third of their life in. And because of that association with time, money is important.
I think that's a really good perspective. Patrick?
I think that, money's kind of fun to me because it's always like there's always such a self-control component to it, and it'll pay off in dividends if you have more self-control with your money. I definitely see money as more like a means to an end, but it can really unlock a lot of amazing things for you if you manage it correctly.
Money is really something that can affect a lot of people, though. Like if they don't have enough money, or even if they have a lot of money, it's interesting when you look at a person's quality of life. Like a lot of people that are super wealthy, they still struggle with depression and all this stuff. So I guess there's studies to suggest that when you look at a person's hierarchy of needs, the base level is the necessities. So you need money to have those things. But beyond that, money kind of becomes irrelevant when you look at a person's overall quality of life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my perspective is it's kind of like a tool, you know?
It's exactly.
And money on its own, objectively, it's just paper or plastic.
Yeah.
Like
it shouldn't be the end in and of itself.
Yeah.
I think like there's definitely, especially financial education, or one of the things working at like a bank or a fintech is like when I started, I was in CX. I was on the phones with customers, and a lot of them, they didn't know about the impact on like not paying off their credit card, or just letting it ride, or just paying the minimum balance, and the importance of a credit score. I feel like, especially whenever you listen to a money podcast, this always comes up time and time again. It's more just like, I can't believe this is not more like taught or like understood.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I like where I work is because we try and build like education into the
platforms,
into the platform itself, because like removing fees on over limit fees, like monthly fees, all these ways in which like these inefficiencies that like banks make money off of.
Yeah.
I feel like that should never be there. I can't believe that these things exist in the first place. So, and like we're in Canada, I feel like because the big five have such a
strong market hold,
over it. Like they don't need to innovate. So it's nice to be, it's nice to disrupt in that space, because
at least there's 5 of them. At least it's not like one monopolizing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Cool. Thank you. I guess to kick things off, I was thinking for this next part, we could kind of rotate, and we could each just give one tip at a time until we've maybe exhausted 2 or 3 each. So think about strong financial principles that could apply to anyone who might care about their money habits. So yeah, I guess we'll just rotate. Max, do you feel inspired to start?
Don't spend all your money.
Yeah.
Save more than you spend.
That's a good one. Okay. Let me think. I'll go next. The importance of making your own personal budget. So understand what your expenses are and understand what your income is. And then if you can just use Excel or any type of tool that you can, any type of software, to just itemize that. And just the basics of a personal budget, I think is an important tip.
Yeah. Another one is, pay yourself first. Make sure that you've got like...
You mean like parties?
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, like, once you get your it's payday, like cut yourself a check out of that. You put it into an account that you do not see or can't touch. You like make sure it's not as liquid, and make it as seamless as possible. So it's, out of sight, out of mind. To me, that definitely helps. I know that mentally, like you see the amount in your checkings, and you're like, okay, you mentally kind of know and spend sort of accordingly as to what's in there. And I love spending money, so, especially on food. So if it's out of sight, it's so much better for me. So that's my pro tip.
Okay, I'll go next. Mine is going to be really simple. It's aligned with my first one of making a budget. And this tip is just track your expenses. So every time you're spending, track it somewhere Obviously, you get the statements. If you can review that monthly and you can just look at where your money is going, even just the act of tracking something psychologically will have an impact on your spending in the future, and it will help you save more. It's the same advice with diet. When people are dieting and they're trying to track their calories, you literally just track your food habits, and then you end up burning calories, like you end up cutting.
I don't want that guilt though. I don't.
Oh. I can't. I don't know. What
I
to say
know
to
I'm
you.
overspending way too much on food and bird scoots. It's a problem.
Those bird scoots are fun though.
I should
get it.
probably keep track of these things. Yeah, they are so.
Yeah, I'll give 2 here. I think it's very important to prioritize what you want and make sure that you spend money on the things you want intentionally.
Okay. So do you mean like going through a period of reflection and scanning
If it's food and bird scoots that you feel that you want, then don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Create a positive relationship with your spending habits, and so that you can look forward to what you get to do rather than kind of pinching your pennies and feeling the anxiety around money in general.
I was actually going to say that too. I feel like because life is not guaranteed, like obviously it's good advice to save for the future, but because life is not guaranteed, if you have your budget, you know what your allocations are, you know what your disposable income is, how much you have to spend, your spending space. It's important to live life and enjoy life. Yeah. So, I think it's a bit of a balance, kind of in line with what you were saying before about money as time, thinking of it in that perspective.
Yeah. And the second thing is to limit your bad habits. I think it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole, and one thing can lead to another, and all of a sudden the numbers get really big really quickly. Yeah. And so recognizing where those areas in your own life are, and then kind of planning for it. Because you're going to end up in those situations.
Yeah.
So for some people, it's all of the vices of the world.
I feel like the example I'm thinking of for that comment is subscription services.
Could be.
So many people just have so many subscription services, and they're like, it's $5.99 a month. It doesn't matter. But then they have like 20 of them. They add up. They add up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I'm sure you saw the news article on, I think it's like 60% of Coachella music goers are like financing their tickets. Oh, which is insane to me.
Like using credit?
They're using like BNPL, like buy now, pay later, and like paying in installments. I mean, but like tickets can be so expensive now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that's your only chance to see Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure you can see Lady Gaga somewhere else, but I guess you have to go to Coachella.
Okay. Let's try to do a couple more. The one that I'm thinking of is it's good to save. It's good to have a savings account, but you want to make sure if you're shoveling money into a savings account, it's at least yielding an interest. So it's a high interest savings account, or you're putting in the stock market like index funds or something like that, because there's something called inflation, which is purchasing power kind of gets diluted over time. And so if you just have money in a savings account that's not yielding any interest, it's effectively losing value over time because of the rate of inflation. So that's something that I had to learn the hard way when I was younger, because I've always been pretty good at saving. I've always been pretty conservative, but I was doing that. And then I learned that lesson, and then I was like, oh, all this money that I've been saving is losing value. Like it's not better to spend earlier, but it's more beneficial if you have it in an account that's yielding a higher interest rate than the rate of inflation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, just one pro tip, especially talking to so many people over the phones, it's, make sure you're not just canceling, credit cards that will impact your credit score. There's, paying off your balance in time. You can pay the minimum, and that won't impact your credit score, but it will incur interest. So everything that you've been buying will be more expensive. Like it's so much better to just, obviously, if you have the means to pay the full amount off in time. That way, that's how the banks are making money, is off of interest and late fees, and you're also you're impacting your credit score. I feel like that's like the biggest. It's like the biggest problem.
That's a good one.
That's like the biggest avoidable issue potentially.
Okay.
What if they don't have the money to pay off their credit card?
A loan from mom and dad?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would go for. Yeah. Crime.
On that note, it's very hard, I think, to live an economically prosperous life in 2025.
Yes.
I think a smaller percentage of people would say that they feel economically comfortable in 2025 versus maybe many years in the past. Mm-hmm. And so a big piece of advice around that is to recognize where your advantages are. And, advantage is not spread equally, but kind of leaning into where your advantages are and what you're willing to trade off for.
Do you mean in terms of money habits, or do you mean in terms of income generation?
In both. In your entire life, of recognizing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and what you're willing to trade off for and what you're not willing to trade off for. And taking the time to really think about that and being intentional about perhaps saying, maybe I am going to borrow from the bank of mom and dad if that's available, or maybe I am willing to go and not live with a car, or
bird scoots,
walk instead of taking bird scoots, and kind of defining where you're going to give and take in your life, and committing to those rules for a set period of time, then reassessing. And
I have a question for you going off of that. How frequently should people be reviewing their attitudes around money and reviewing their habits?
Yeah, I think if you're just getting started, a monthly schedule tends to be the way that payments work.
Okay.
And is pretty compatible with the way that a lot of people are paid, either bi-weekly or monthly.
Bi-weekly or monthly,
And so monthly tends to be a good time to review whether or not something's working for you. But once you have something dialed in, maybe after 3 or 4 months, you're like, okay, this is working. Don't spend your life nickel and diming yourself. It's like, stick to a system, enjoy your life, do the things that you really care about with your time, effort, and energy. And only set a very small amount of time, maybe once a year, committing to a certain set of rules.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give one more, and then I'll give you guys a chance. You can fight for it. So my last one is kind of going off of what you were saying. Invest in yourself. So particularly when you're young, you're starting out in your career, you want to develop a skill set. So just use money as an opportunity to take some courses, go to some conferences, meet new people. I think it's important. And like I was saying before, I think balance is important too. So making sure that you're kind of having that balance where you're saving appropriately, but you're also not neglecting the moment, the here and now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do one of you have one more before we close this segment?
I'm fresh out. How about you, Max?
I think it's we've got a lot of principles already.
I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Opine on diversification. Like, is your only source to wealth generation through pure financial means, or is there other avenues?
There's a lot of ways to be wealthy. But if we're talking pure dollars and cents, you got to make a lot of money. And if that's through a job, fantastic. Yep. If that's through being better than average in terms of the rate of interest that you're able to compound your money with, fantastic. If
compounding. We should have said compounding. No one said compounding.
It's related to
Oh, we got it in.
to earning an interest rate above the inflation rate.
Yeah.
But if you want a large pile of money, you either have to contribute a lot of money at many time intervals, or have a very high interest rate and compound that over many time intervals, or have a lot of time intervals. This is like becoming old and continuing with your good financial habits. And that's about it.
Okay.
There's only a limited number of components to the equation.
Perfect. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And we'll close the segment there. Welcome back to the pod. I'm here with my guests, Patrick, Padraig, Joseph, Vincent, Chi-Wing Ma, and Max, talking about money and personal finance. So for this next segment, I'm going to introduce some relevant scenarios. So some demographic profiles of kind of typical situations that you might see in a client or a person. Maybe some of these will apply to listeners. And you can put yourself in their position. What would you do if you were them? Or you can put yourself in the role of a consultant. How would you advise them if they were struggling with these issues? So I'll introduce the first one, and then we can kind of just swap the mic and go back and forth. So the first one is called The Average Canadian. And I picked a very average name, the most average name in Canada, which is Mark, age 30. So location, let's say Calgary. So their income level is $65,000 a year, which happens to be the median household income in Canada. He's carrying $5,000 in credit card debt at 19% interest. And let's say he has a mortgage at 3.5%, and there's $350,000 on his mortgage. He maybe has $6,000 in a TFSA, currently no RRSP contributions. So how can Mark get control of his money and start building wealth, even if times feel uncertain? Mark is feeling stressed about money. Everything's more expensive, groceries, gas, rent. We talked about that before. Even though he has a decent job, his pay doesn't go as far anymore. He's worried about the economy and his job. He's not sure if it's smart to invest right now. He wants to do better with money, but doesn't know where to start. What do you do?
I guess, yeah, step one, I would definitely do as much as he can to reduce that credit card debt, because that, the 20% or whatever it
You're gonna
is.
get nailed.
It's, yeah, exactly. Like, yes, obviously make the mortgage payments as well, but definitely focus on getting that down as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And then, start, in the TFSA, or, start contributing to your, RRSP or, an ETF if he's not very versed or knowledgeable if he's not comfortable in investing in stocks himself, then yeah, doing something, putting it in an ETF or RRSP definitely makes sense. Once he's, dealt with, in my opinion, yeah, dealing with the credit card debt is top priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I'd say not financial advice. We're actually not qualified to talk about this.
Exactly.
So
I'm in loyalty.
purely entertainment value. But the entertainment value would say that I think you first need to ask Mark what he would do if an emergency happened.
What type of emergency?
Any emergency.
Unemployment?
He could lose his job. A family member could need some healthcare expenses that aren't necessarily covered by some other form of payment.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a leak in his roof, housing expenses or vehicle expenses, injury, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so I think the first step is always to have a plan for when if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't, but that's probably the first step, is to save either $1,000 or more for the chance that happens. And then the second thing is the high interest debt. Unless Mark feels like he can earn 19% somewhere else, he should definitely pay off the debt. And then third would be to think about his longer term future and what kind of expenses are coming up. And that might not be the right fit for stocks, depending on what he's planning.
Yeah.
The very large mortgage is something that I I think you should consider carefully. Depends on what's going on in his life. Perhaps he needs to be in that location, in that property. But if he doesn't, then there may be less expensive alternatives that can make him feel and put him on a plan that he feels good about.
Yeah. I think you drilled it. Like, you gave the best answer. I have a couple questions going over some of the statements that you made, and Patrick, you can opine if you want to as well. So one, where you said the $1,000 savings, what would you call that? And would that be in a separate account, or how would he go about building that up? Not building it up, but like placing it somewhere. Like, should that just be right in your checkings account, or how do you go about that?
There's a lot of products available now that are as good as checking accounts with some amount of interest. It's worth exploring what options available with your primary financial institution, kind of what rates available there, and what alternative rates are available with other financial institutions, and kind of just making that decision on your own. The primary goal of that amount of money is not to make money, but to be able to use that money very quickly in the event of an emergency.
Right. An emergency fund.
Yeah.
Okay. And my second question, perhaps this is a bit of a tangent, but let's say hypothetically, since this is a hypothetical anyways, Mark has the ability to save 20% of his income. Every time he gets a paycheck, he can save 20% of it. He's stuck at a crossroads between putting it towards his mortgage. Let's pretend his credit card's already paid off, because I agree that's number one priority. He's stuck at a crossroads. He can either put it towards his mortgage, pay down his mortgage faster, or he can put it in a TFSA, index funds or something like that. What would your advice be in that regard?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend how bought in he is. Like, does he need that house? Like, is he really like bought into like having, if that's like a part of his like long-term goal and vision, then I would focus on the mortgage. But if not, then
so the answer is it depends.
Of
is
course.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, not financial advice, but
okay. What would you say, Max, to that question?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So let's say he has the ability to save 20% of his income. Is it more advisable to pay off your mortgage faster or to put the money in a TFSA?
Oh, I guess it also depends about when he needs the money. Oftentimes it can be difficult to take out money if you've paid off a mortgage to a certain extent, depending on how much you borrowed and kind of the terms associated with that. So if he needs the money in the near term, then would definitely recommend a TFSA, and probably not, depending on how near term, probably not even stocks, just like a savings account.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something that returns.
So not even a TFSA.
An interest rate.
Yeah.
You can take money out of your TFSA. There's specific rules where you actually receive that contribution back. But in terms of the contributions you put into the TFSA, the limit depends. You can't put back the same amount that you removed in the same year.
Right. Okay, cool. Let's go to our next scenario. So I'll introduce the next scenario. So this one's called combining assets and joint accounts. Alex, 31, Jessica, 29. Congratulations, they're getting married. So here's the story. Alex and Jessica just got engaged and are talking about money. Should Jessica help with Alex's mortgage, or should they buy a new place together? How should they split bills fairly since Alex earns more? Should they open a joint account or keep their money separate? They're also trying to plan their wedding and save for the future. And then I'll give you some high-level stats. So let's say Alex earns maybe $80,000 a year. Jessica earns $60,000 a year. Alex has a little bit of savings and RRSPs, a little bit in his TFSA. Jessica's in a situation where she has no debt. Alex maybe has a little bit of debt in student loans. But Alex owns the condo, and Jessica's currently renting, and they're talking about moving in together. So the question is, what money talks should they be having before getting married? How can they build a strong financial plan together?
Yeah, like the best way to really have a strong relationship is to just be very secretive with your money.
About everything.
Yeah, about
not
everything.
just
Actually,
money,
just don't talk about money, and like you just.
That's just
Yeah.
a good blanket statement. Just
Yeah,
be-
exactly.
yeah.
Just don't talk about it, and then. No, but like obviously, yeah, you have conversations with your partner on, what each person thinks is fair, and making sure that I personally think certainly like the joint account. I do think it makes sense to have your own separate accounts as well to have that autonomy, but for joint expenses and whatnot, I think depending on what the two come up with, what they're comfortable with, I think equal payments into the joint account makes sense, but totally depends on what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, there was a lot of data there. So the fact that like we have this much data about their financial relationship is a great sign already. Hopefully they've shared this data with each other. So step one, great. You've shared the data. Step two, I would agree. Kind of agreeing on a plan, whether it is 50-50 or some other mix. The most important thing is actually not about the money, but about how the money makes you feel. And as long as both...
What do you mean how the money makes you feel?
Potentially if one person... I can't remember the specific income amounts here, but if one person makes a lot more money and the other person doesn't, contributing 50-50 might not feel great.
There's a sense of resentment.
There could be a sense of resentment, or one person in this situation owns the condo and the other person is living
Renting
apart and is renting. And so if they decide to move in together in the place of like in the condo, then kind of determining what feels fair there is the most important component, rather than necessarily splitting everything equal financially, especially if they are going to join their finances at some point in the near future.
Yeah, no, the reason I asked that question or proposed this scenario is because I feel like in our age bracket, this is so common. Like people are starting to get married and they're starting to combine large assets, and like money is such a stressor on so many people, individuals, but also relationship strain. Like when you look at the different types of conflict that relationships suffer from, money is always near the very top. So I guess framed as a question, it's more like, how do people go about that in a healthy way? And I think that both of you had the number one answer, which is just be transparent with each other, right? Like you have to come from a place of honesty. But is there any more detailed tips or advice that you could give to somebody going into that too hard? Okay. Let's go to some other questions then. Let me think. We'll skip out of the scenarios for now. We'll go to a couple new questions. So just some random questions. What do you feel like is a financial mistake that a lot of people make, and how do you overcome that? Or what's one that you've made in the past, and how do you overcome that? I'll tell you one that I did. So one mistake that I've made is I dipped into my RRSPs to make a credit card payment. And I knew I was going to regret it at the time. And then I made the payment and it was gone, and I regret it. Because you get taxed, right? Like you lose so much of it. And with compound interest, like your RRSPs will grow each year. So in terms of overall, like over a long time span, I would have lost so much money through that decision. Even though it wasn't a lot of money, it still probably wasn't the right move to make. Like I probably could have just went to my parents and just be like, hey, I'm in a sticky situation, you know?
Yeah, I think, I guess not somewhat of a mistake. I remember getting a one of the RBC like student credit cards, and yeah, like you don't pay a monthly fee, but I think it took me.
Oh, and then
I think it was like
you forget that you have
you
it.
you forget, and then obviously then they assume after I believe like a few years that you're no longer a student, and then they'll start charging. And also just with taking a look at the different cards out there in the market, you can absolutely be earning a lot more with different cards based on your spending habits.
You mean scene points?
Or like, yeah, if you spend a lot on like food and drink or like travel, make sure you've got the proper cards. Like,
Is there a card specific for bird scoots?
no.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would just say, like, I remember, I think it was like 8 years I had this card, and I
Was
went
there an
through.
annual fee?
No, not at the time, but there was. I had like one flight basically out of like all the points, whereas like you can with the different cards out there, you can absolutely be earning way more,
Okay.
and that's.
Are you going to plug a specific card right now?
No,
Okay.
not going to do that.
All right.
That's a good answer. I feel like that answer's like my weakness is I'm too organized. I'm not doing enough with credit card point earning. No, I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of whatever type of person you are with relation to your money to be too much of that archetype. So there's a lot of credit card offers available. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of buzz around points hacking and kind of these incredible experiences available by jumping through all these hoops and finding the right points deal and signing up for the right credit card and using it in exactly the right way and booking at exactly the right time and finding all these secret fares. And
do you endorse credit card usage as a general statement?
As a general statement,
it's hard,
I
right?
can't make a general statement about it. It depends on who you are and knowing yourself and whether or not you'll be responsible.
I would say yes if you have the ability to immediately pay it off. Like, you should never be using credit card if you don't have the money to pay it off.
I mean, it does provide a lot of conveniences to people who might not have the money, but still deem that the purchase is worth it. And so it's not good financial advice. You're not going to maximize your
potential
wealth by doing that. But I do see that as something that a lot of people need to do.
Okay.
But yeah, the advice is don't get too many credit cards. For
yeah,
the purpose
Patrick.
I only have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't just like sign up for a bunch and then forget about them. And then,
Okay. Let's
be a
do the
mess.
flip now. What is one single decision you've made in your past that you're proud of when it comes to financial discipline and money habits? I'll start. I switched out of my terrible contract for a mortgage. So I was just talking to you guys about this at the break. I was paying through the nose on a fixed term. I was at 6.5%. I was midway through my contract. The prime rate has been dropping. The Bank of Canada is dropping the prime rate. And so I reached out to my mortgage broker and I was just like, hey, what would this look like to switch out? And I mean, with most lenders, you're going to incur a penalty fee, some type of penalty for switching out of a fixed term contract. But in the end, it ended up saving me money. So I was proud of myself for taking the initiative. Yeah. Do you guys have anything in your past financially that you're proud of? Any investment plays or anything like that? Or purchases that you're particularly proud of?
That just makes me feel good.
I think just getting started. I opened up a TFSA on like my 18th birthday and bought some stocks. Like the old quote is the best time to plant a tree is like 30 years ago, and the next best time is today. So
I like that.
just getting started and putting yourself on the right foot, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be buying stocks or something like that, but making the first step today.
That's a good one. Patrick, can you follow that?
I mean, honestly, I feel like my mind goes there as well. I think when I had set up the TFSA, the mutual fund that I was comfortable with, and so EFTs as well, and also auto depositing money away from myself. That was definitely
that should be one of our tips. Auto deposits.
Yeah, setting things up properly, that where you've got the system working for you. That's where obviously, if you don't really want to be checking stocks all the time, then knowing what system works for you, that should be a good goal for you to set. And I feel like I've set that up for myself. So
totally.
yeah.
Max, PP, thank you. Welcome back to the pod. I'm here with my buddies Max and Patrick, talking about financial discipline and all things finance. So to close out today's episode, we're going to do some rapid fire questions, just easy questions. And then I have a fact or fiction game all about money, and we'll put these guys to the test and see how knowledgeable they really are about all the finer details. So to kick things off, the rapid fire, best free tool / app for personal finance that you would plug, or product, service, whatever. Just plug one thing.
The Neo card, baby.
The Neo card. Is that?
I mean, well, there's
discounts?
the Neo debit. It's like not only do you get like, I think it's like 3 or 4% like interest on your deposit, but then if you use your debit card, you actually still have access to all the cashback partners. So on essentially a debit card for regular transactions with Neo partners, you're getting cashback and you're earning like 4% interest, or I think it's 3 right now because of obviously everything. But
Okay, good.
Yeah, wow. That's a good pick. Completely unbiased. Yeah, unbiased.
There's no chance that he works for Neo.
Yeah. Man, I was going to say my tool is just Excel. I think being able to
That's
use
what
that.
I was going to say.
Oh,
Excel is the
shoot.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Google Sheets. Being able to have like maybe an hour tutorial on YouTube just to figure out how to use the tool better in your life.
Even
I
YouTube
think.
can be a tool, like listening to podcasts.
Maybe
like
I just
this.
gave two tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Underrated money saving hacks. Does anybody have any? Coupons.
Look at your biggest expense. And that's where
Oh,
you
shared
should pay
Netflix.
attention.
Shared Netflix, the 50,
Yeah.
30, 20 rule. I think that's also
I'm in a Spotify family.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Any underrated money saving hacks that you have, Patrick? Limit your bird scoot usage.
Yeah, exactly. Cut down on your your biggest expense, of course.
Yeah.
And then like the 50, 30, 20 rule, and then just like making sure you're always putting something away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's quickly opine on taxes. Any tips with tax season? My tip is that you don't necessarily have to pay a tax pro. Unless you own your own small business and your taxes are super complicated, I feel like people make them out to be way more complicated than they are. Like, you can go through so many softwares online that literally give you a step-by-step guide on how to file your own taxes.
I think unless if you are like an independent contractor, or if you've got if you're doing a lot of freelance work or stuff like that, yes, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, if things are more simple on your end, then I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay. My next question is, Max, congratulations. You've just been surprised with $10,000. What are you going to do with that $10,000?
Meme coin.
The mic didn't pick that up, but Patrick
shoot.
said
Yeah,
said
he-
meme coin.
Patrick said meme coin.
That's a joke, by the way.
It's not financial advice.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the advice that I would have for other people is it depends.
Yes.
I think if your financial picture is already in good shape, you're probably going to do more of what you're already doing, which is likely just like investing in the same portfolio mix that you already have. Mm-hmm. If you have a bunch of high interest debt, then it's going to go there.
Which is good.
If you don't have an emergency fund, some of it's going to go to that. So yeah, it's the basic concepts, just depending on where you are. But that's a pretty boring answer. I like the meme coin one better.
Well, I actually, I have a question to both of you as well. I don't mean to take
That's okay.
over. It's more just, where things are right now with, stocks going all the, all over the place. Is this an opportunity where you can buy all these stocks at a discount? Is that how you should be seeing this right now, or is there, real alarm? Should you avoid it altogether? What do you guys think?
I mean, I guess I'll give the same qualification that Max gave before and say, like, I'm not in a position to provide financial advice, even though we're shooting an episode on financial advice. But I believe that TFSAs are a really good tool, and it's good to use those. And investing in the stock market has proven to be a good rate of return as long as you have a diversified portfolio. So specifically, if you're putting your money into index funds, which are already diversified, then you're basically just putting your money into the market, which historically gives you a rate of return. And you can do that through a bank. You can pay a financial planner, and they'll do that for you in a mutual fund, and they'll take 2% even if you're at a loss at the end of the year. But you can do it yourself through a broker like Wealthsimple, and just put your money on index funds, and it's been proven over time to give you a high rate of return. So that's what I would say.
So buy right now.
Yeah.
Well, we don't issue buy and sell signals.
Yeah, of course.
It's too easy to be wrong. And
That was a great time.
it's always a great time. That's the thing. A few caveats when thinking about your mix is not all index funds are equal, and not all ETFs are index funds. I think there's some very risky ETFs that you can still purchase and think you're making a safe play.
Yeah.
And no financial investment is guaranteed unless it has guaranteed in the name. And even those, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
That's true.
So.
Okay, let's play Fact or Fiction to close out the episode. So I'm going to riddle off a bunch of statements, and you guys are going to make your predictions, fact or fiction. Okay?
Very good.
We were just talking about this. The average return on the stock market is 10%.
Fiction. I think it's 8, isn't it?
Not enough information.
Yeah. Okay, it's kind of a fact. After inflation, it's around 7%.
Yeah.
Because you have to subtract. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next one. All coins currently in circulation are round.
Fiction.
What are the exceptions?
I think there's a Hong Kong coin, and it's like
You're cheating because you're from Hong Kong.
I'm not. It's not round though.
Okay. Max, what do you think?
I don't think they have to be round, but round makes a lot of sense. There's a reason that a lot of the coins are round.
Yeah, I think it's for organizational purposes and printing purposes, like it's easier. But you're right, Hong Kong has flower. It's a flower shape. Nice. And Japan has some coins with holes in the middle, so people wear them as necklaces. Oh, yeah. Okay, some more. What percentage of retail sales come from impulsive purchases? I guess that's not fact or fiction, but just make your predictions. So retail, you walk into H&M, how much is coming from a person just impulsively deciding across all the retail stores, not just fashion?
40%.
45%.
I can't believe Patrick got it perfect.
Oh,
The
nice.
answer's
Wow.
40% come from impulse purchases.
I'm in loyalty.
That was impressive. Okay, the highest denomination bill ever printed was $1 million. This is in the U.S. U.S. and Canada. $1 million bill.
I'm going to say fact.
Yeah, I'll also say fact.
It's a $100,000 bill, and it was only used between banks. But I don't think it's in circulation currently. Okay, real estate is the most significant source of wealth for most people. When you look at the assets,
I would say fact.
Yeah. I agree. I would say fact.
what percent of the world's GDP do you think comes from real estate specifically? You guys are both right, by the way. The answer is fact.
It's GDP or total assets or
What is the world? How much does real estate make up the world's GDP?
so it's like transactions in real estate
Yes.
per year related to real estate?
I don't know. It's too technical.
Because so GDP is like the annual
Like the amount of spending, right?
transaction of goods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say half.
It's like 20.
Less than half.
It's like 20%. Max is right. You're wrong. I don't know who's winning, but you got that one wrong, Patrick. Okay. This one's kind of not money. It kind of is money. What is the world's most expensive city to live in?
Vancouver.
I should have done it by Canada.
I think it's New York. It depends on how you measure expensive. If you're going, like so many of these questions are it depends. So
Yeah.
I feel like a rule stickler or something. But if you go by like median income to like average cost of living, then it would be a place with a lower median income.
Yeah.
If you think about like real estate, Hong Kong is often at the top
Yeah.
of those charts. because
Hong
they
Kong
have a
real
low-
estate's crazy off the charts.
They have a low median income, but then very high real estate prices. And then, yeah, the largest cities in Australia, I think, come up there.
This is a segue, but there's some type of Vice video on YouTube that shows you how like where people in the low income brackets are living in Hong Kong, and the amount of space that they're occupying it's like nothing. It's like a cage. Like they're talking about cages, and they have to pay for that. Like it's crazy how expensive real estate is in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Okay, let me do a couple more.
What was the answer?
Oh
to that
yeah,
one?
I didn't give an answer. The answer is Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But what is the most expensive city to travel to? I guess it depends.
Depends on what you do there.
Yeah. Yeah. When I looked it up today, it said Paris, which I didn't think was super expensive, but I guess it is.
Depends on what you do there.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple more. What is the world's smallest currency? So relative to the US dollar, since the US is the most traded currency. And what is the world's largest currency? So based on nominal value against the US dollar. Take a guess based on the strength of the economies. That's hard, right?
I'm just gonna say I don't know. Maybe the euro. I could be wrong.
Yours,
Is like the
yours pretty strong.
euro's pretty strong, but
It's ahead of the
I
US
bet like
dollar,
even
isn't
like
it?
the English. What is
Oh, the pound?
the pound? Yeah, I feel like the
pound's pretty
pound's
strong.
the
Yeah.
pound's really strong. I don't know for the other one though. Not sure.
It would be a country that's experienced a lot of inflation.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Venezuela reclassified their money, but Zimbabwe comes to mind.
Yes, Zimbabwe was up there, but I think that they corrected that problem in some way
Yeah.
because it wasn't like when I typed it in this question. It wasn't.
Unsure.
Yeah. Okay, so the answer for the strongest currency, the smallest currency, it's Kuwait. This little tiny country, and today's rate was 0.31 to the $1 US. And then the largest currency was Iran, the rial, and it's 42,000 rial to $1 US. 42,000. Yeah. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll close. What is the average Canadian credit score? We're going to end on a bummer.
650.
Wow, that was. I'll say 580.
You guys are too cynical. It's 760.
Oh, that's
Which is, I think, is actually categorized as decent.
that. No, it's that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's good.
But the next
good.
one, similar question. What is the average Canadian credit card balance in Canada?
Like,
If you get this right to the dollar, I know you cheated.
I'm gonna say three grand.
I think it's higher than that. I think it's the question would be to survey respondents, if you have a balance, what is your balance? And then they would take the average value there. And I think that number would be like 5,000.
Max is closer. If this was Price is Right, Max would lose. But this is not Price is Right because the average amount is $4,681.
Oh, interesting.
And if you get $10,000, $4,681 of that should go to.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, gentlemen, for playing Fact or Fiction. And an even bigger thank you for taking the time and being on the pod today. I appreciate your insights on money. And yeah, thank you. Any closing statements?
Thank you. No, great to be here. This was fun.
Do you want to plug yourself in any way? Up to you.
No, but just want to say thank you. And this is not financial advice.
Alrighty.
Yeah, not financial advice. Don't take anything from this pod and do it directly. Consider other resources.
Perfect.